Brampton Golf Club Hall of Fame.
Watch the camera.
Before we get on with the formal part of the program, I do want to recognize the directors that we have in the hall with us today. Shirley Tong, Susan Priest, Steve Cavan, and our club president, Greg Allworth. And I hope that somebody didn't sneak in and I missed them, or I'd be in really big trouble at the next board meeting. At this time, I'd like to introduce the chairman of our Heritage Committee, Mr. Ian Scott.
You're on the clock.
I'm on the clock. Ooh, that's a nice greeting, thank you. Thank you, Mr. General Manager, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here with us today. We really didn't know what kind of a crowd we were going to get, but we thank you for being here. This is an important day for our club. We set the bar, I think, pretty high last year when we inducted 3 new members of our new Hall of Fame. But that's a good thing. It's a good thing for a club. And we have a great club. So I'm going to start by introducing last year's first inaugural inductees. In no particular order other than ladies first is Pauline Kelly. Pauline resides in the wonderful town of Meaford, north of us here. Just got back from a golf vacation. That surprises us, of course. So it's great to have you here, and we're very happy that you are here. Our next inductee was Stuart Hamilton. Wonderful Stu. Where is Stuart? Stu has had a decorated career, all of it engineered by his wife Joanne. And they are inseparable. They're here, fresh off a broken wrist, wakeboarding, or whatever you call it. You can read Stuart's bio left of us. Sorry, guys, we had to move you to the west side. And Stu is a tremendous guy, so we're really happy that you and Joanne are here, Stuart. And our third inductee from last year is none other than Bob Little. Bob is also a charter member of our Heritage Committee, and that's not saying a lot, but it's saying enough. And we're always happy to have Bob involved. If you read Score magazine, which I haven't, but I've been told about, he just bettered his age, or matched it for the 1,001 time, Bob?
Four. I got 4 I played yesterday.
Very good. I did play yesterday. Almost every day he creates a new memory.
And he's changing his name to Mr. 1000.
Anyway, it's great to have our inductees here in 100% fashion. We've said right from the beginning, this is a Brampton Golf Club Hall of Fame. Okay, this isn't the Golf Hall of Fame, it's not the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's our Hall of Fame. We won't please every single person whom we choose and the board endorses to be in our Hall of Fame, but by gosh, it's the Brampton Golf Club Hall of Fame. And I hope by being here, you're showing your support for everybody that's previously been inducted and everybody that is being inducted today. And who knows, we may not have other inductees for a few years. We'll wait and see. But to have so many people here is gratifying, and we appreciate it. So our little Hall of Fame Heritage Committee has been a labor of love for a lot of us. And you're probably thinking, yeah, a bunch of old guys and girls. But we're not that old. You hear that, Bob? But it's been a great group of people. I just want to share with you the original mandate that our board, and let's remember, we provide recommendations to our board. So if you don't like it, please go and talk to the board members. But the board 2 years ago said, the committee reports to the board and is responsible for overseeing, monitoring, identifying, organizing, and displaying historical artifacts and archives, of the club. A lot of words, but really, one of the true strengths of our club is that we have a lot of history. Not a lot of clubs do. We have a lot of history, and it's history based on people that have put their time and effort forward to make things happen. And a couple of little stories. Down to my right, you'll see what we call the Green Book. It's a written history, as things used to be in the old days, of our club. And two interesting things that I think you might enjoy. One is, back when our club was purchased, 50 acres at Steeles and Highway 10, the assessment per year was $1. This year we just got our fee structured. I'm not even going to bring it up. How does a $7,000% increase sound to you? 102 years. So that was one thing. And then in 1963, for the magnanimous sum of $150,000, we moved here to our current site, which is a great site. And we may not be in the upper echelon of private clubs, but we are in the upper echelon of good people who have made this club what it is today. And part of that is introducing our 3 new members. But before I do that, I want to introduce our Heritage Committee. Last year I forgot somebody, so I actually had to write it out. I have to look down, sorry folks, but in no particular order. And I hope you won't mind me mentioning people, but you know what? If they doubled our salary, we'd still do it. 2 times 0 is still 0. But we have a secretary, Phil Hogg. Phil, give us a high five. Now, I've attended a million committee meetings over my career, not to sound like a big shot, because I'm certainly not, but sometimes you just got to keep track of what you did in a meeting. And Phil does an amazing job at doing that. And that's part of the perpetuity of building a club. Long after we're gone, and I'm not looking at all the young people, I'm looking at all us old guys, we need to know what went on at this club. And Phil does an amazing job at that, and thank you, Phil. Sarah Locke, I don't know where Sarah is. She's going to be the ladies' captain there. Somebody put her on her shoulders so we can see her.
Frank, where are you?
Thank you, Sarah, for your contributions. David Edge, I haven't seen David. Oh, there he is, and his wife Ann. Past president of our club, which is no small feat. David, great to have you here. Joe Ardito, I don't think Joey is here, an old friend of mine, and Joe and his brother Bruno, who's on our board of directors, are where we all should be, in the Tuscan villa on somewhere in Europe. But Joe, thank you for your contribution. Bob Little, whom I have mentioned previously. Bob, thank you. Christiane Deschênes, who is not here. Christiane was one of our originals, but she and her husband have decided to go to the second best golf club in Ontario, somewhere in Prince Edward County. I don't know how many of you know it, but I have friends there, and they call it the county. You don't call it the county, you don't know what you're doing. It's not Brampton Golf, but it's okay. Anyway, Christiane, we thank you. One of our goals this year was to find some new members of our committee, and we're very happy to have done so. We're trying to replicate or make it very similar to our membership, which is difficult. A lot of people think it's only old people that care about heritage, but it's not. There's lots of young people that understand how important our history is. So we have Donna Kinch, who has joined us. Donna, give us a high five there. And Dwight Greer. Dwight, we're small, but we're mighty. As well as those two, we've had the good fortune of having a staff liaison, Reed Kelly over here. He's single, by the way, if there's any. Didn't you tell me to say that? Reed has done an amazing job. He is the club's communication and promotions director. We need that. We've lost some members, some very long-time members, but we're gaining new members, and part of that rule is Reed's to try and keep people here and attract new people. Thank you, Reed, for your... And our GM, Boris, I know it's the toughest job in the world, trying to make 600 or 700 people happy. Boris has been at every one of our meetings. We appreciate his efforts. We thank you, and we hope that continues for us. Thank you. We're getting near the end here, guys, so I know there's people going, thank goodness for that. We have some accomplishments that I'm not going to talk about. What I'm more interested in talking about is what we're trying to do with this committee. Yes, we have a Hall of Fame, and that's just one thing, but we are trying to ensure that our members, especially our newer members, understand the history of this great club. If you don't really understand the past, then you may have difficulty understanding where we're going in the future. And this club has had a great past history, and we intend to continue to demonstrate that through our Rose, which is our monthly newsletter. So one of our goals is to make members more aware of our committee, more aware of our history of the club. We're opening up a wall of distinction. It's separate from our Hall of Fame. The wall of distinction, very simply, is good things, good people, and good events that we have hosted here at the club, or we know at the club. We had a Canadian Amateur Champ. We hosted the 1985 CPGA Championship. We hosted the 2014 Ladies Amateur. This club has done a lot for the golf industry in Ontario and Canada. So at some point in the not distant future, you're going to see some plaques, not as big as our Hall of Famers, but they will highlight some of the major events, major people, and major things that have happened at this club. And hopefully it'll be good for those that visit us, but also good for our members, and maybe encourage a few new members to join our club. Okay, sorry, I probably talking too long. It's my pleasure now to introduce our first speaker, who will be introducing his father.
My dad's not here.
What's Greg do?
Not much.
I'm sorry, guys. They gave me so much paper. So, I guess I'll be back. Will I? Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. And I'll turn it over to our president, Greg Allworth.
Good afternoon. Welcome, Hall of Famers, families, members, and friends. Last year, we opened the Hall of Fame and introduced the inaugural class of inductees. This year, we will expand the Hall and add our first builder, an Ontario Amateur champion, and a dominant club competitor. The Hall of Fame has become an integral part of the club. Members recognize it as the pinnacle of achievement at Brampton and actively debate who should be included. Our Heritage Committee continues to do wonderful work. They identify candidates, they vet their accomplishments against a rigorous criteria, and make excellent recommendations to the board. Thank you to the committee and its chair, Ian Scott. As someone who's volunteered in a few roles here, the builders category is particularly important to me. And one name synonymous with that is Andy Taylor. His record of volunteering is unmatched. He would tell new members, don't be a taker, give back to the club. No one exemplified that more than Andy, and no one was prouder of their red jacket. I got to spend an evening with Andy at the 10th anniversary of the Captain's Cup. Patient, we even commented that my game had a slight flair for the dramatic. What I noticed was how well she played. And since that time, Sandy and I have played hundreds of rounds together. I've had a front row seat to her consistent and dominant competitive spirit. She has the ability to access a deep level of focus, another gear when required. Just ask anyone who's been playing a match against her, and we're kind of feeling good about their chances with a few holes to play on the back nine. Sandy knows how to win, and has done it more often and consistently than anyone before her at Brampton. And while I've gotten to do many cool things as club president, being able to participate in the Hall of Fame induction for a great friend is particularly special to me. So congratulations, Andy, Ray, and Sandy. Your accomplishments will forever be enshrined here on the walls of the Brampton Golf Club as Hall of Famers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allworth. Now for the main event, the inauguration of our new Hall of Fame members and the unveiling of the Hall of Fame displays. Sandy Bukowski joined Brampton Golf Club in 2005 and won the club championship that year. Surprise. Sandy would go on to win 52 club tournaments, making her the winningest member in club history. She's won the ladies match play 14 times, including 7 of the last 8 years. Won the ladies stroke play 10 times. Sandy holds the ladies club record, course record, with a 66 from the LOTs. She has 13 hole-in-ones, her last being 4 days ago on the 31st of October. The coincidence is that this year I had 13 greens in regulation. She tells us that she averages 150 rounds per year at Brampton, but she puts her clubs away for the winter. A good rest after 150 rounds of golf. Sandy competes annually, provincially, and nationally in the championships. She was third in the 2022 Ontario Senior Women's Championship, and she was T15 in the 23 Canadian Senior Women's Amateur. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome Sandy Bykowski.
Well, it's a little bit overwhelming for sure. It's so nice to have everybody here to share this day. I want to thank definitely the Heritage Committee for showcasing the history of our club and growing the history of our club, and for the creation of the Brampton Golf Hall of Fame. I'm so proud and honored to be inducted today and to be standing alongside our other accomplished inductees from last year, Bob Little, Pauline Kelly, and Stu Hamilton, and this year's inductees, Ray Cool and late Andy Taylor. It really means a lot to have everybody here sharing this day, family and friends and other members. It makes it very special. Oh, sorry, I forgot what I was going to say. Just a little overwhelmed, that's all. This is absolutely the perfect way to cap off the 2023 golf season. It's been such a memorable year. The hole-in-one on Halloween. I guess I came dressed as a golfer that day. Not intentionally, it just kind of happened. And this inauguration into the Hall of Fame is so special. Brampton Golf Club really is like my second home. When I pull into this driveway, I am so excited with the thought of playing another round of golf and the anticipation of playing another round of golf. And I really appreciate the fact that I get to play here every day. And you know what? It's even a bonus when I get to pull into my favorite parking spot. Thank you so much.
It is my distinct honor to introduce the next inductee into the Brampton Golf Club Hall of Fame, Ray Cool. Ray started playing golf at a young age and had a very successful junior career. He won the 1949 Ontario Junior Boys Championship, the 1954 and 55 individual OUA Championship at Queen's University, and in 1956, he was the runner-up in the Ontario Amateur Championship. The following year, he returned, and he won it. Ray joined Brampton Golf Club in 1962, the same year we moved to this property. At Brampton, he has won 4 men's club championships and 2 senior club championships. Ray has also been very active in the Ontario Senior Golf Association. Within the club, he served on the board from 1968 to 1975 and as president in 1973. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate and welcome our newest Brampton Golf Club Hall of Fame member, Ray Cool.
Can I help you up there?
Yeah.
Let's get the, Ray, let's get the important stuff. Why don't you grab the side of this and we'll take the, grab the other side with the other side.
Show my picture.
Hands down, ready?
Here we go.
After all these speeches, I've been told to make a few brief remarks with more fulfilling recap later on this evening. First, I'd like to thank the Heritage Committee, chaired by Ian Scott, for nominating me to be inducted into the Brampton Golf Club's Hall of Fame, and President Greg Allworth and the Board of Directors for approving that nomination. My induction into the Hall of Fame is the culmination of what I look upon as a long, active, and enjoyable membership here at the club, while at the same time being able to contribute to the growth and success of the club. I've had many wonderful experiences and successes playing, competing, and socializing with many friends here at the club over the years. Also over the years, our club has, as Greg mentioned, been a good citizen for many golf associations. We have offered up the course for men's and women's championships, pro tournaments, senior events, etc. Capped off last month by hosting the World's Junior Girls Golf Championship. The club and the golf course received wonderful accolades from all sides for the golf course condition and for the hospitality provided by the club. Finally, I'd again like to thank everyone who was involved in making in this induction into the Brampton Golf Club's Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Cool. We appreciate your remarks. I really don't need any notes to introduce our next Hall of Fame inductee and our very first inductee in the builder category, Andy Taylor. I don't know why they called him Andrew, because nobody ever called him Andrew. It was always Andy Taylor. And Andy, I would never say was a close friend of mine, but I knew a lot about Andy. My dad, who was in the fuel oil business and who was a longtime member here, delivered oil to the Taylor family way back when. Andy was a longtime purchasing agent for the Chrysler Motor Company back in the days when it really actually meant something to be a purchasing agent. They grew up in a sort of a hard-scrabble area called Lakeview, part of Mississauga. And he and his wife Jean both worked for the Chrysler Motor Company. And Andy was very active in the community. He was president of the Lakeview Hockey Association, which back in those days was one of 6 or 7 in the old township of Toronto, which is now the city of Mississauga. Surprisingly enough, he was very active at Lakeview Golf Club, and that's close to my home because in my days with the city, Lakeview is still one of the top municipal golf courses in Canada. To this day, it remains that way, and Andy contributed a lot towards that, and indeed, he was on their Centennial Committee as vice chairman, which was a big deal in those days. So Andy was a grassroots guy. He had 2 children, my old friend Drew and his sister Debbie. I liken Andy to Gene Saracen, the Squire. If you happen to remember that, you have to go back a lot of years to remember Gene Saracen. He wore the +4s, Andy wore the +4s. He never had a hair out of place, and he never had a hair out of place. You didn't question Andy. I remember as a young guy, if that's still possible, I'm thinking I was, you minded your P's and Q's. That was an expression back in the day. Forgive me for using it. Whenever Andy was around, if you weren't dressed appropriately, he would be the first guy to tell you. If you spoke in an unfriendly way, he would also be the first guy to tell you. He had a decorum about him that made people want to be proud to be part of Brampton Golf Club. That's just the way he was. Not everybody liked him, as you might expect, but everybody respected him. So it's with great warmth and friendliness that I introduce his son Drew, also a golf professional. Drew plays and works at Blue Springs Golf Club, who's going to tell us a bit more about Andy Taylor. Drew?
He doesn't look like a tough guy there. He was hard, you know, and he wanted the dress code, you know, adhere to and policies. But he meant well, and his whole thing was making Brampton Golf Club a better place. And I think he was a big part of that, the growth time and that period when there was troubles at the club. He was on the board, and they got through it. You know, they've expanded the golf club at that time, and he was right there digging in. I can remember my sister and I actually came up and worked because the staff all had walked off the job. It was right at Christmas time, and my sister and I were serving drinks and food, and we all jumped in. But those were the days, you know. And you look around and look what you got. You got a great golf course, and I'm so honored from being here for my father. And I know he'd be humbled to be in a group like this. He'd be over the moon. And thank you very much to the board and Ian Scott and his committee for pushing my dad through in this category. He's the first one in the builders, and I know he'd be extremely happy. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the formal part of our ceremony. If I could ask the new inductees to come up for some photos. Please feel free to take some photos, and then once the formal photos are taken, please come up and take photos with your friends, family members, informal photos. In not too long, those who are staying for dinner will be congregating in the Brampton A room. But let's do some photos first. Thank you everyone for coming tonight.